If Alex is gone, then this house belongs to me, right?
Huh? What are you talking about at a time like this? Aren't you sad as a mother?
I'm sad, but I need a place to keep living. Anyway, from today, this is my house. You don't have a room anymore.
I was astonished that I didn't even feel like getting angry anymore. Fine, I'll leave then. Saying that, I packed my things and left. My name is Eva. I'm a 29-year-old remote worker. I've been married to Alex for 3 years. We still don't have children, but we continue to live happily like newlyweds. Since I work from home, I used to take care of most things. My husband always enjoys the meals I cook, so it's a blessing. But when I'm busy with my remote work and deadlines, he helps with the housework and supports me. That's how we had a very happy life. By the way, we have a good relationship with Alex's younger brother, John, and his wife. And we often went out for meals together as a group of 4. John and his wife were newlyweds, so they were always in a friendly mood. Well, the same goes for my older brothers, although they sometimes tease us. We have a lot of common topics and enjoy chatting and having fun together because we were around the same age. However, there's one problem that bothers all of us. That is my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is incredibly selfish and arrogant, causing trouble for everyone. As for John and his wife, I felt sorry for them because they had suffered a lot. One day, it was John's birthday, and it seemed that my mother-in-law took John and his wife to a sushi restaurant, promising to treat them to high-quality sushi. My mother-in-law went ahead and ordered whatever she wanted at the restaurant, telling John and his wife, "Go ahead, order whatever you like." They took her words seriously and ended up placing quite a few orders. However, when it came the time to pay the bill, my mother-in-law exclaimed, "Oops, I forgot my wallet." And it seemed that in the end, John and his wife had to pay a substantial amount of money from their own finances. John, who wasn't satisfied with being forced to pay despite it being called a gift, apparently approached my mother-in-law later to remind her about it. However, she simply remarked, "It's nice that we got to go to such an upscale restaurant," and didn't contribute any money at all. By the way, there was a similar incident that almost happened to us on my husband's birthday. At the time, we had already heard about it from John and his wife, so we decided to invite my father-in-law to join us. Instead of going to an upscale sushi restaurant, we opted for a regular sushi place and enjoyed a more modest and down-to-earth dining experience. I remember how my mother-in-law, with a dissatisfied expression on her face, reluctantly ate the sushi, and she couldn't indulge herself since my father-in-law was present. Well, when it comes to birthdays, it's only natural for my father-in-law to offer to cover the expenses. In a way, it's a matter of pride for him. But for my mother-in-law, it's an additional expense from their joint income. At that time, we're spared from paying, but since then, my mother-in-law has become excessively critical towards me. Moreover, she knows that I work from home, so she has visited me several times without prior notice. At first, I tried to handle the situation, but eventually, I realized it was becoming unbearable, so I started pretending not to be home. Fortunately, the place where my husband and I live is an apartment with a video intercom system, so we can see the person's face. If my mother-in-law comes, I can simply ignore her. Once my mother-in-law realized that I was intentionally ignoring only her, she began covering the intercom camera with her hand, creating a black screen, and pretending to be someone else saying, "It's a post office," in an attempt to enter our place. However, it's not common for people to cover the screen, so I was convinced that it was my mother-in-law and continued to ignore her. After that, it seems like she gave up, and she rarely visited our home. Well, that's how my mother-in-law has been behaving arrogantly and causing trouble for us. And recently, I heard that my in-laws are facing the risk of divorce. So, whenever we gather, that topic inevitably comes up at least once.
I don't understand why they won't tell us why they are on the verge of divorce. Well, I think it's more like Dad got fed up with Mom.
It seems that both Alex and John have witnessed their mother's negative character traits, or rather, her selfishness, since they were children. That's why they had a strong belief that she would definitely engaging in bullying me and John's wife. So, they made a conscious effort to avoid visiting their parents' home unless it was absolutely necessary in order to prevent any harm coming to themselves or us. However, with her impending divorce and the fact that she'll be left alone, there would be no one to put a stop to her unruly behavior. I had a feeling that she might try to visit her home multiple times like before, or even go to John's place. And as I suspected, my uneasy premonition turned out to be true. It seems that my mother-in-law immediately sought refuge with John and his wife after the divorce was announced. She repeatedly kneeled down and pleaded, saying, "I've changed my ways, so please let me stay here until I find a new place." Both John and his wife were generally calm and good-natured people, so my mother-in-law's desperate plea seemed to rattle their hearts a bit. They ended up allowing her to stay temporarily as long as she found a new place soon. However, as expected, this turned out to be a huge mistake. The quiet facade my mother-in-law initially showed quickly faded, and she returned to her usual self. As a result, my sister-in-law began to suffer from severe mistreatment. She came to me in tears, and I instructed her to gather evidence of the mistreatment using a voice recorder. And once the evidence was collected, we planned to confront my mother-in-law with it and collectively drive her out.
"Oh, is that you, Alex? Oh, and Eva?"
She said her names in tone that clearly showed her lowered spirits.
"What's happening with both of you today?" John and his wife were having difficulties, so they came to Eva's house.
"What kind of difficulties?" The mother-in-law seemed unaware of the situation, but forced herself to sit down.
"Well then, let's get straight to the point. Mom, could you please stop causing more trouble for John?"
"What?
What are you suddenly talking about? That I'm causing trouble for John and his wife? What kind of baseless accusation is this? Don't mess around. You've been harassing my wife during the day."
"What?
I haven't done anything like that. Are you being deceived by this woman?"
You harass me almost every day. I can't bear it anymore."
Exactly. We're told that you, Mom, would change your attitude and stay in the spare room until you find a place. But even after a week, you refuse to leave and continue to harass my wife. What's going on? This is unacceptable. I'm telling you, I haven't been harassing your wife. It's a misunderstanding. If you insist, can you show me some evidence?
Understood.
Huh?
John's wife plays the recorder, capturing my mother-in-law's voice berating her. The recording contains numerous instances of my mother-in-law verbally mistreating John's wife.
Mom, even with this, you still claim you haven't been mistreating my wife? Well, this is, you must be imitating me in a cowardly way.
My defiant mother-in-law tries to launch at John's wife, but John blocked her.
Enough is enough. Taking advantage of people's kindness and doing as you please. We're cutting ties with you, Mom. Pack your things and leave right now. What? Then where am I supposed to go?
Well, how about we go to a real estate agency now? Let's find a place for you to move in immediately.
We'll gather your belongings and arrange for you to stay at a hotel. Wait a minute. We're serious about this? Of course we are. That's why we came here in the first place.
Then, with John and his wife, we got rid of my mother-in-law's belongings. We quickly sold any items that seemed valuable among the unnecessary things and used the money to fund my mother-in-law's relocation. My mother-in-law was in a state of panic, as the four of us took decisive action to evict her without any further discussion. Unluckily, we found an apartment with immediate availability and affordable rent. My husband immediately had my mother-in-law sign the contract and decide on the move. Afterwards, we had her stay at a cheap hotel, and our role was complete. We received heartfelt gratitude from John and his wife once everything was settled. We celebrated the successful eviction of my mother-in-law. But we were soon defeated by her new ways of causing trouble for me and my husband. It happened one day when I returned to the apartment after grocery shopping. As I approached the entrance of the apartment building and tried to use the key card, I noticed someone collapse there. "Oh no, are you okay?" Hastily rushing over and checking if the person was conscious, she then lifted her face. Mother? To my surprise, it was my mother-in-law.
Eva, help me.
Wait, should I call an ambulance?
Water.
Water? It seemed that my mother-in-law hadn't eaten or drunk anything for quite some time. This area was the entrance of the apartment building, and during the day, many residents were coming and going. Some people looked worried and others frowned, mistaking her for a drunk. Unable to leave her there, I offered her my help and brought her inside the house.
So, she just ate her full and fell asleep, huh?
I'm sorry, but leaving her there would have caused trouble for the other residents.
No, it's not your fault, Eva. I can't believe I ended up with such an outrageous mother. I'm leaving for a business trip overseas the day after tomorrow. I hope everything will be fine.
That is a concern, but, well, your mother has her own apartment, so I think she'll be okay once she gets back there. At that time, I underestimated the situation. And then my husband went on his business trip, and the seasons came and went. This time, he was scheduled to be away for 6 months on a business trip to Antarctica. It was a bit lonely, but it was his job, so there was nothing I could do.
Well, I'm off.
Yeah, take care of yourself.
Oh, take care. Yeah.
For some reason, my mother-in-law accompanied us to the airport. She said she wanted to see him off. On the way back in the car, I decided to drop my mother-in-law at her own place. Then, my mother-in-law said something unbelievable.
So, I've been kicked out of that house.
Huh?
Why? Well, I couldn't pay the rent.
Didn't you receive money from the property division?
Well, I wanted to use that for installment payments for the alimony.
Huh? It turned out that my mother-in-law got divorced from my father-in-law due to her affair.
Eva, please, I have nowhere to go.
Well, if that's the case, why don't you go to your affair partner's place?
It's impossible. He said he wouldn't break up because his wife didn't want a divorce.
So, it was an affair between married individuals.
Please, Eva. If I stay like this, I might starve to death. Just like the day before yesterday. I promise I won't cause any trouble.
I understand. I reluctantly decided to let her stay at her house. I didn't want to cause trouble like last time, making a scene in front of the apartment and disturbing other people. After that, my mother-in-law, while being a nuisance, at least behaved quietly as longer. It seemed that the stern warning my husband gave her via video call from his overseas assignment had an effect. Since my husband declared that he would kick her out if anything happened, my mother-in-law seemed to have realized that if she caused trouble again, she would end up homeless. However, in the midst of it all, an unexpected event occurred. My husband went missing. Neither his company nor the local people had any substantial information. There was no guarantee that he was still alive. I was deeply saddened by this. In just 2 more months, he was scheduled to return home. But since then, no matter how many months passed, I couldn't find any trace of my husband. His life was likely not spared. People with such and such views began to appear here and there. I hope he's safe. While thinking that way, somewhere deep in my heart, I also started to feel that it might be hopeless. And at that moment, my mother-in-law started to say something outrageous.
If Alex is gone, then this house belongs to me, right?
Huh? Why are you saying such things at a time like this? We still don't know if he's really gone or not. Aren't you sad as a mother?
Of course I'm sad. But to survive, I need a place to live. We have to accept reality and move forward. Anyway, from today on, this is my house. You don't have a room here anymore.
I was shocked and didn't even feel like getting angry anymore. Fine, then I'll leave. Saying that, I packed my things and left. Afterwards, my sympathetic brother-in-law and his wife heard about the situation and invited me to stay at their place for a while. Then I looked for a room to stay in and found a nice place to stay and got ready to move there. Then my mother-in-law stormed into John and his wife's house.
Eva, you're here, right?
My brother-in-law and his wife tried to send her away, but I said, I'll handle this, and went to the entrance. Please, don't cause any more trouble in the neighborhood.
Wait, Eva? I was kicked out of the house. What's going on?
Oh, come to think of it, it's been a month already. When I left the house, I sold it, and the eviction order was issued to your place.
Huh? But the house belongs to Alex, right?
The house is under my name. I was the one who contracted it while working from home, instead of going on frequent business trips.
But what should I do if I'm kicked out of the house?
I don't know. Find a job and rent a room for yourself. At that moment, my brother-in-law and his wife also arrived.
If you ever come to our house again, I won't hesitate to report you. No way.
My mother-in-law ran away from the scene crying. Well, finally she's disappeared from our sight, I thought to myself. Afterward, I moved into a room for living alone. The room was comfortable, but I guess it's too big for one person. There's no partner who could appreciate and enjoy the meals I cook, I thought. Will I never see that face again? That's it. The words I spoke alone vanished into thin air without reaching anyone else's ear. Suddenly, the intercom rang. On a screen, it was either covered or completely black. Could it be my mother-in-law? How did she find out where I am? She's really persistent. What is it now, Mom? If you don't stop, I'll call the police. But the voice that came from the screen was not my mother-in-law.
Oh, calling the police would be a problem. I'm currently in the country illegally, you know.
Huh? I recognized that voice. And then, the hand that was covering the screen moved away, revealing a clear view of the face. Alex!
I'm home.
When I unlocked the door and opened the entrance, unmistakably, my husband was there.
Alex, you're alive! I'm so relieved.
Tears kept flowing from my eyes.
I'm sorry for being late.
I was really worried. I even started to think you might have passed away.
I ended up considering such things.
My husband hugged me and apologized, saying I'm really sorry. He explained that the ship he was on exploded, and all his belongings, including his passport and smartphone, were lost. After that, he went through a life or death struggle while being stranded, he said. But fortunately, he met kind people who let him into their home and managed to survive, he added. He had been sending letters, but apparently, my mother-in-law had been unknowingly stowing them away. They never reached my eyes. And now, after trying various means, it seems that he will be able to return to America.
I was surprised when I got home and found someone else living there. So I went to my brother's house and he told me to visit here.
I see. But I'm just glad you're alive. Afterwards, my husband changed jobs to one that doesn't involve overseas business trips. It was a decision made with the intention of never experiencing something like that again. Going through that incident made our relationship as a couple even stronger than before. And finally, we were blessed with a child. Both my husband and I were overjoyed. My brother-in-law and his wife also rushed to celebrate with us. By the way, I have no idea how my mother-in-law is doing now, but she's probably living a quiet and impoverished life. I haven't shared my current address with her, and my brother-in-law's family also moved cautiously. As a result, my mother-in-law has no way of knowing our whereabouts. We have found our peace and tranquility in our daily lives. I will continue to love my husband for the rest of my life. As a married couple, we want to cherish and raise our upcoming child with care.